Navigator Soren Blackwood drummed his fingers against the worn control panel of his transport vessel, the Stellar Drift. The ship's ancient systems hummed beneath his touch, not the most reliable craft in the fleet, but she'd gotten him through 5 years of supply runs to the outer colonies. The purple-tinged nebula ahead marked the approach to his latest destination, Research Station Omega-7. Another thrilling delivery of scientific equipment, he muttered to himself, checking the manifest. At least the pay's decent. The station emerged from the nebula's swirling gases, a sprawling structure of interconnected modules and observation arrays. But something was off. The usually bright docking beacons were dark, and his comm system picked up nothing but static. Station Omega-7, this is Transport Vessel Stellar Drift requesting approach vector, Soren broadcast, no response. Station Omega-7, please acknowledge. A flash of movement caught his eye, something sleek and silvery darting past his viewport. Definitely not debris. His heart rate quickened as he activated the ship's defensive screens for all the good they'd do against unknown threats. The silvery object appeared again, closer this time. It was a ship, but like nothing he'd ever seen. Its hull seemed to ripple like liquid metal, defying known physics. Before Soren could react, a beam of shimmering energy engulfed the stellar drift. No, 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 he growled, fingers flying over the controls, but nothing responded. The beam drew his ship inexorably toward the alien vessel, which he now saw dwarfed his own craft. A voice filled his head, not through the comm system, but directly in his mind. Do not resist, Navigator Soren Blackwood, we mean you no harm. The voice had an odd musical quality, like chimes in a light breeze. Female, he thought, though that might just be his human brain trying to categorize something alien. How do you know my name? He demanded. What have you done with the station? The humans are safe, merely in temporary stasis. We required privacy for this meeting. His ship passed through an opening in the alien vessel's hull that hadn't been there moments before. The docking procedure, if you could call it that, was smoother than any he'd experienced at proper stations. Please proceed through the luminescent doorway to your right, the voice instructed as his ship's hatch opened of its own accord. Soren considered his options. He was clearly outmatched technologically. If they wanted him dead, he'd be dead already. With a resigned sigh, he stepped through the indicated doorway. The chamber beyond defied explanation. The walls shifted and flowed like quicksilver, yet somehow maintained their structural integrity. Patterns of light danced across every surface, forming complex geometric shapes that hurt his eyes if he looked too long. A figure emerged from the flowing walls, humanoid but clearly alien. Her skin had a pearlescent sheen, and what looked like stellar cartography was etched across her face in swirling patterns. Most striking were her eyes. They contained what appeared to be entire galaxies in miniature. I am First Guardian Lysandra, she said, her actual voice carrying the same musical quality as the mental projection. You have been chosen, Soren Blackwood. He backed away a step, chosen for what exactly? To prevent a war that would destroy both our peoples. She gestured, and a holographic display materialized between them, showing two spiral arms of the galaxy. Your species is advancing more rapidly than any we have encountered. Soon you will discover quantum folding technology. This will bring you into conflict with the Zurith Empire, who believe they alone should possess such capabilities. And you're telling me this why? Because you have something unique, Soren Blackwood. A genetic marker we have seen in only a handful of humans. You can interface with our technology in ways even we cannot fully comprehend. She approached him, her movement more flowing than walking. We offer you a bargain. Become our ambassador of harmony, help us prevent this war, and we will share knowledge that would take humanity centuries to discover otherwise. Soren laughed, though there was little humor in it. You've got the wrong guy, I'm just a cargo hauler. You are far more. Lysandra touched his temple lightly, and Soren gasped as information flooded his mind, star charts, quantum equations, glimpses of possible futures both wonderful and terrible. The choice must be yours, freely made, but know that the fate of billions may rest upon it. He staggered back, mind reeling from the download of information. And if I refuse? Then we will return you to your ship, wipe this encounter from your memory, and seek another. Her galaxy eyes fixed on him, but you are our best hope. Soren ran his hands through his dark hair, a nervous habit from childhood. This was insane. He was a nobody, a washed-out academy candidate who'd ended up running cargo because he couldn't hack it in the fleet. The fate of humanity shouldn't rest on his shoulders. But those glimpses Lysandra had shown him, If even a fraction was true, the coming conflict would devastate Earth and its colonies. And somewhere deep inside, beyond the doubt and fear, something resonated with the alien technology around him. Like recognizing a song he'd never heard but somehow knew by heart. If I agree, he said slowly, what exactly would this ambassador position entail? Lysandra's expression shifted in a way his human brain interpreted as pleased. You would live among us, learn our ways, and help us understand yours. When the time comes, you would serve as a bridge between our peoples. And the crew of Station Omega-7 will awaken with no memory of our presence, finding their equipment delivered as expected. Soren took a deep breath. I want something in writing, or whatever passes for a contract among your people. To his surprise, Lysandra laughed, a sound like crystal wind chimes. Of course, we are not barbarians. She waved her hand, and a shimmering document appeared in the air before him, text shifting between human and alien script. Read carefully, Navigator Blackwood. This will change your life in ways you cannot imagine. As he began to read, Soren couldn't shake the feeling that he was stepping off a precipice into the unknown. But maybe that's what destiny felt like, a terror and exhilaration in equal measure, with just enough hope to make the leap worthwhile. Little did he know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would reshape not just his future, but the future of two civilizations. The quantum bargain was struck, and there would be no turning back. The crystalline spires of the Nyxian citadel caught the light of 3 moons, casting prismatic shadows across Soren Blackwood's quarters. 3 months had passed since he'd accepted Lysandra's bargain, and sometimes he still couldn't believe this was his life now. He stood before a mirror, adjusting the ceremonial robes the Nyxians had given him. The fabric seemed to ripple with starlight, responding to his emotions in ways he still didn't fully understand. A chime echoed through the chamber, the musical language of his hosts that he was slowly learning to interpret. Enter, he called, the word automatically translated by the quantum interface they'd grafted into his nervous system. Ventes, his assigned mentor, glided into the room. Like all Nyxians, he had that peculiar pearlescent skin and galaxy eyes, but his patterns were geometric where Lysandra's were flowing. The council awaits, Ambassador. Are you prepared for your first official presentation? Soren smoothed his robes one last time. As I'll ever be, though I still think you're overestimating my diplomatic capabilities. You underestimate yourself, Ventes replied, leading him through corridors that seemed to shift and breathe. Your progress with our technology is unprecedented. Already you can interface with systems that took our people decades to master. That was true, though it still unnerved him. The Nyxian tech responded to him like an extension of his own body, as natural as breathing. According to Lysandra, it had something to do with his unique genetic structure, though she remained frustratingly vague on the details. They entered the grand chamber, where the Council of Guardians conducted their business. 7 figures sat in a semicircle, their ceremonial armor gleaming with contained starfire. Lysandra, as first guardian, occupied the central position. Her galaxy eyes found his, and he felt the familiar resonance between them, like plucking a string and feeling another vibrate in harmony. Ambassador Blackwood, she intoned formally, you come before us to present your initial assessment of human Nyxian integration possibilities. Proceed. Soren took a deep breath and activated the chamber's holographic systems with a thought. Star maps and data streams materialized around him. Honorable Council, I've analyzed the cultural and technological convergence points between our peoples. While there are significant challenges, I believe I've identified several promising approaches. An alarm shrieked through the chamber, cutting him off. The walls pulsed red, and Soren felt a surge of panic through his quantum interface, not his own, but the collective concern of the Nyxians. Proximity alert, Ventes announced, his usual calm demeanor cracking. Zurith vessels have breached the outer defense grid. Lysandra rose, her authority filling the chamber. How? Our stealth systems are impenetrable. Unknown, First Guardian, but they're targeting the ambassador's quarters with precision strikes. Soren's blood ran cold. They knew I was here. They were waiting for me to arrive at this exact chamber. He turned to Lysandra. You have a spy in your midst. Impossible, one of the other guardians protested. Our mental bonds prevent betrayal. Unless, Lysandra's voice was tight, someone found a way to corrupt the quantum matrix itself. She strode to Soren's side. We must get you to safety. If the Zurith capture you, they'll extract everything you've learned about our technology. The chamber shuddered as another blast struck the citadel. Through his interface, Soren felt the building's pain like a physical blow. Without thinking, he reached out with his consciousness, connecting to the defense systems. Ambassador, wait, Ventes called out. The power requirements could kill you. But Soren was already merged with the Citadel's quantum core. Information flooded his mind, weapon systems, shield configurations, structural integrity reports. His consciousness expanded until he could feel every crystal, every energy conduit. The Zurith ships appeared in his awareness like angry red wounds in space. With effort that made his nose bleed, he redirected power through the ceremonial arrays that lined the Citadel's spires. They weren't meant to be weapons, but at their core they were energy manipulators. The arrays fired, sending precise pulses of quantum-shifted radiation at the attacking vessels. The Zurith ship's shields, calibrated for conventional weapons, offered no protection. Their systems crashed, leaving them dead in space. Soren collapsed, blood trickling from his ears. Lysandra caught him before he hit the floor. Through blurring vision, he saw the other guardians staring at him in what might have been awe or fear. Impossible, someone whispered. He adapted our ceremonial technology into a weapon system in seconds. Even our best quantum engineers couldn't have conceived that. Because they think like Nixians, Soren managed, his voice weak. I think like a human cargo hauler, sometimes you have to improvise with what you've got. Lysandra's cool hand touched his forehead and healing energy flowed into him. You continue to surprise us, Soren Blackwood, but this attack proves the Zurith know of your existence. They will not stop until they possess your abilities. Then we need to find your spy, he said, struggling to sit up. And I think I know how. The quantum matrix records everything, right? Even thoughts. The deeper archives, yes, but they're encrypted beyond even our ability to access. Soren smiled grimly, but I don't think like a Nixian. Remember, let me try something different. As he recovered in the medical bay later, watching Nixian healers fuss over his readings, Soren reflected on how completely his life had changed. 3 months ago, his biggest concern had been fuel costs and delivery schedules. Now he was caught in the middle of an interstellar power struggle, wielding technologies he barely understood. Yet somehow it felt right. Like every cargo run, every failed academy test, every moment of his life had been preparing him for this role. He might not be the ambassador they expected, but maybe he was the one they needed. Lysandra entered the medical bay, her face showing concern beneath its usual composure. The council is unsettled by your display of power. Some fear we have given you too much access too quickly. And what do you think? Her galaxy eyes seemed to peer into his soul. I think you just saved everyone in this citadel using technology you've known for 3 months in a way we never imagined possible. The question isn't whether we've given you too much access, it's whether we're ready for what you'll show us next. Soren looked out at the moons rising over the crystal spires. Ready or not, I don't think we have a choice. The Zurith made their move, now it's our turn. The quantum interface hummed in his mind, and for a moment he swore he could hear the music of the spheres, a symphony of stars calling him to his destiny. Deep in the quantum archives of the Nixian Citadel, Soren Blackwood's consciousness flowed through rivers of data. His physical body sat in a meditation chamber, connected to the archive's interface by threads of light, while his mind parsed through centuries of stored memories and thoughts. There, he murmured, feeling Lysandra's attentive presence beside him. That pattern repeats every 47 cycles, always when the council makes crucial decisions. Through their shared connection, he felt her surprise. You found something. More like something found me. He isolated a strand of quantum data, transforming it into visible form. A series of encrypted transmissions appeared, each tied to a specific council session. Someone's been broadcasting our secure protocols to an external receiver. They're buried in the routine system maintenance signals, which is why your security never caught them. Ventes, monitoring Soren's vital signs, leaned forward. Can you trace them? Better, Soren's consciousness dove deeper into the data stream. I can hijack the next transmission, give our spy something interesting to report. The plan had taken shape over the past week after the Zurith attack. While the council debated and argued, Soren had immersed himself in the quantum archives, learning to think in new ways. The Nixian technology responded to him differently than it did to its creators. Where they saw rigid patterns, he saw fluid possibilities. It's dangerous, Lysandra warned. The deeper you go into the quantum matrix, the greater the strain on your neural pathways. I can handle it. Soren opened his eyes, the galaxy-like patterns that had begun appearing in them after prolonged quantum exposure swirling with determination. Besides, we need to know who we can trust before I show you what else I found in the archives. You found something more significant than a spy. His expression was grim. Let's just say the Zurith aren't our only problem, but first things first, we have a council meeting to arrange. Hours later, Soren stood before the assembled council, his ceremonial robes replaced by the more practical quantum-enhanced suit he'd helped design. The chamber hummed with tension as he activated the holographic displays. Honorable Guardians, he began, I've discovered critical information about the Zurith threat. Their recent attack wasn't just an attempt to capture me there after something far more valuable, something hidden beneath this very citadel. He felt the spike of alarm through his quantum interface, particularly from Guardian Nevix, the Council's military advisor, right on schedule. According to these records, Soren continued, projecting ancient schematics, the Citadel was built around a quantum singularity, a tier in spacetime itself. The Nixians have been harvesting its energy for millennia, but its true purpose is something else entirely. Lysandra, playing her part perfectly, leaned forward. Explain, Ambassador. The singularity is a doorway, one that leads to what your ancestors called the nexus of all realities, a place where the laws of physics are more suggestions. He paused, watching through quantum-enhanced senses as Nevix's hand twitched toward his personal communicator. The Zurith believe that whoever controls the nexus controls the future of all species. This is restricted information, Nevix burst out. How did you access these records? Soren smiled thinly. The same way I accessed the records of your communications with the Zurith High Command, Guardian Nevix. Did you really think you could hide quantum transmissions from someone who interfaces with the technology directly? The chamber erupted in chaos. Nevix leaped from his seat, drawing a weapon that shouldn't have existed in the council chamber. But Soren was faster, his quantum-enhanced reflexes letting him dodge the energy blast while Lysandra's guards moved in. It's not that simple, Nevix shouted as they restrained him. The Zurith aren't our enemies, they're trying to prevent a greater catastrophe. Tell them what you really found in the archives, human. Soren's expression remained neutral. You mean the convergence prophecy, the one that says a being who can unite quantum and organic consciousness will either save or destroy all reality. The chamber fell silent. Even Lysandra stared at him in shock. That's why you were helping them, Soren continued, addressing Nevix but speaking to all present. You believe I'm the destruction the prophecy warns about, but you never access the deepest layer of the archives, the ones written in frequencies only human minds can perceive. He gestured and new holographic images appeared, mathematical proofs and quantum equations that made the Guardians gasp. The prophecy doesn't warn about destruction, Soren explained. It promises transformation. The Zurith fear it because they can't control it. They'd rather maintain their power than risk the unknown. Lysandra stepped forward, her galaxy eyes blazing. You knew this all along. I suspected since I first touched your technology, but I needed proof, and I needed to know who would try to stop us from pursuing it. He turned back to the council. The question isn't whether this transformation will happen, it's whether we'll guide it or resist it. Guardian Nevix slumped in his captor's grip. You don't understand the forces you're dealing with, human. Actually, Soren's quantum implants pulsed with power. I understand them better than anyone, because I'm not just interfacing with your technology, I'm evolving with it. And I'm not the only one. He reached out through the quantum matrix, connecting with Lysandra and showing her what he discovered. Countless humans across the galaxy with the same genetic markers he possessed. A network of potential bridges between organic and quantum consciousness, waiting to be awakened. The Zurith will come for the singularity, he told the council. Not in ships we can fight, but with everything they have. They'll try to collapse the nexus rather than let this transformation occur. Then what do you suggest, Ambassador? Lysandra asked, though he sensed she already knew. Soren's galaxy eyes met hers. We stop playing defense, we take the fight to them, but first we need to activate the network, all of it. Every quantum-compatible human, every Nixian crystal matrix, every particle of possibility in between. That kind of power, Oventes breathed, it's never been attempted. No, Soren agreed, but then neither has what we're becoming. He looked around the chamber at the faces of those who would either help him reshape reality or stand in his way. The real question is, who's willing to take that leap with me? One by one, the Guardians rose, all except Nevix, who watched with defeated resignation. But it was Lysandra's response that mattered most, and when she stepped to Soren's side, he felt the quantum resonance between them surge with newfound purpose. The transformation had begun. Now they just had to survive what came next. The quantum network pulsed with activity as Soren Blackwood connected with another awakened human halfway across the galaxy. Through his enhanced consciousness, he felt her surprise, fear, and eventual understanding as she realized what she was becoming. "That's the 47th one this cycle," he reported, opening his galaxy eyes to find Lysandra watching him intently. They stood in the Citadel's newly constructed resonance chamber, surrounded by crystalline arrays that amplified their quantum abilities. "And each connection strengthens the network," she observed. "But the Zurath are moving faster than we anticipated." She was right. In the month since exposing Guardian Nevix's betrayal, reports had flooded in of Zurath ships massing near quantum anomalies throughout known space. They weren't even trying to hide anymore. This was a race to prevent what they saw as the end of their dominion. Ventis entered the chamber, his usual composed demeanor shaken. "First Guardian Ambassador, the long-range sensors have detected something unprecedented." The holographic display activated, showing a massive vessel emerging from quantum space. But vessel didn't do it justice. It was a constructed moon, its surface covered in weapons arrays and energy collectors. "The Zurath worldship," Lysandra breathed. "They actually built it." Soren studied the readings. "They're harvesting quantum energy from everything they pass. Stars, planets, spatial anomalies, they're literally consuming reality to power that thing." "Their message is clear," Ventis said grimly. "Submit to their authority or they'll tear apart the fabric of spacetime itself." Through the quantum network, Soren felt the ripples of fear from the awakened humans and their Nyxian allies. But underneath that fear was something stronger: determination. They had all glimpsed what they could become together, and no threat would make them abandon that potential. "How long until they reach the Citadel?" Soren asked. 36 hours at their current velocity." Lysandra's galaxy eyes met his. "Not enough time to awaken and train the remaining quantum-compatible humans." "Then we work with what we have." Soren connected to the quantum matrix, his consciousness expanding to encompass the entire network. "Everyone, listen carefully. I know you're scared. I know this isn't what any of you expected from your lives, but right now you're part of something larger than ourselves." He felt their attention focus, 47 minds joining with his and Lysandra's in perfect quantum harmony. Through their shared connection, he showed them what he discovered in the deepest archives, the true nature of the transformation they were undergoing. "The Zurath think we're going to destroy reality," he continued. "But they don't understand. We're not destroying anything, we're helping reality evolve, just as we're evolving. The quantum singularity beneath this citadel isn't just a doorway to the nexus, it's a seed, and we're about to help it bloom." Images and equations flowed through the network as Soren shared his plan. It was audacious, probably impossible, and their only hope. One by one, the connected minds signaled their agreement. "It's going to take everything we have," he warned them. "Some of us might not survive the transition, but if we succeed, we'll create something entirely new, a bridge between quantum and organic existence that can never be broken." Lysandra took his hand, their quantum resonance singing between them. "Whatever comes, we face it together." The next 36 hours passed in a blur of preparation. The awakened humans were transported to quantum receiver stations around the galaxy, each one positioned to help channel and stabilize the enormous energies they would need to harness. The Zurath worldship arrived exactly on schedule, its massive form blotting out the 3 moons above the Citadel. Their ultimatum was simple: surrender the quantum-compatible humans and destroy the singularity, or watch reality itself be torn apart. Soren stood in the resonance chamber, connected to both the quantum network and the singularity below. Lysandra and Ventis flanked him, their own consciousness merged with his. Around the galaxy, 47 humans and their Nyxian partners waited at their stations, ready to attempt something that had only existed in prophecy until now. "Last chance to back out," he said, only half joking. Lysandra's response carried through the network. "The only way out is through." The Zurath worldship opened fire, its quantum-enhanced weapons beginning to unravel the very fabric of space around the Citadel. But they were too late. The network was already active, and what they had dismissed as impossible was about to become inevitable. Now, Soren commanded, and 49 consciousness reached out as one, touching the quantum singularity with their combined will. Reality held its breath and the transformation began. The universe changed. There was no other way to describe what happened when 49 quantum-enhanced minds touched the singularity together. Reality rippled outward from the citadel like waves in a cosmic pond, transforming everything it touched. The Zurith worldship's weapons fire dissipated into harmless light, as the laws of physics it relied on shifted beneath it. Soren Blackwood existed everywhere and nowhere. His consciousness expanded beyond normal space-time. Through the quantum network, he felt the others with him, Lysandra, Ventis, and all the awakened humans, their minds forming a vast symphony of thought and possibility. This is what they feared, he realized, not destruction but transcendence. The singularity beneath the citadel had indeed been a seed planted eons ago by entities that existed beyond conventional understanding. As it bloomed, reality itself was becoming something new, a hybrid state where quantum and organic consciousness could coexist and evolve together. Through the network, Soren felt the Zuriths panic as their mighty worldship began to transform, its rigid structures flowing into new configurations that reflected the changing nature of space itself. But he also felt something else from them, a glimmer of understanding, as the truth of what was happening penetrated their fear. They see it now, Lysandra's thoughts merged with his. The transformation doesn't destroy, it elevates. One by one, the Zurith crews began to experience their own awakening, their consciousness resonating with the new quantum frequency of reality. Their resistance melted away as they realized they weren't losing control of existence, they were becoming part of its next evolution. The wave of transformation continued to spread, touching every corner of known space. Stars sang with new frequencies, planets pulsed with quantum life, and beings everywhere began to sense the larger consciousness they were part of. It wasn't a loss of individuality but a gain of connection, the ability to be both one and many, separate and united. But the process was taking its toll. Soren felt some of the networked minds beginning to fade, the strain of channeling such vast energies proving too much for their physical forms. Yet even as their bodies failed, their consciousness remained part of the greater whole, transformed into pure quantum energy. Hold on, he called through the network, trying to stabilize the failing connections. We're almost there. Lysandra's presence wrapped around his, lending him strength. Let go, Soren, don't fight the transformation, flow with it. He understood then. They had been thinking too linearly, trying to control the process instead of becoming part of it. With Lysandra's help, he surrendered to the quantum flow, letting his consciousness expand fully into the new reality they were helping to birth. Everything shifted. When awareness returned, Soren found himself standing in the resonance chamber, but it was changed. The crystalline walls now pulsed with living light, and he could see the quantum streams that connected everything to everything else. His body felt both solid and fluid, existing in multiple states simultaneously. Lysandra stood beside him, her form similarly transformed. The galaxy patterns in her eyes now spread across her entire being, making her appear as a living constellation. Around them, the surviving members of the network were also changed, each one a unique blend of organic and quantum existence. Through their enhanced perceptions, they could sense the ripples of transformation still spreading through the galaxy. The Zurith worldship hung in orbit, now a living quantum construct that housed thousands of awakened minds. Reality had not been destroyed, it had evolved, becoming a place where consciousness and energy, matter and thought could intermingle freely. What now? Ventis asked, his own form shimmering with new possibilities. Soren looked out at the transformed universe, feeling the infinite potential that lay before them. Now we learn what we can really become. The prophecy wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. The quantum network hummed with agreement, countless minds exploring their new existence. There would be challenges ahead as everyone adjusted to the new reality. But they would face them together, neither fully human nor Nixian nor Zurith, but something gloriously new. Lysandra took his hand, their quantum resonance creating harmonies that echoed through multiple dimensions. Was it worth it, she asked, leaving your old life behind? Soren smiled, remembering the simple cargo pilot he'd been just months ago. Some cargo runs change everything, he said. Besides, we haven't left anything behind, we've carried it all forward into something greater. Around them, the transformed citadel pulsed with living light, its quantum heart beating in time with the cosmic symphony they had helped orchestrate. The future stretched out before them, filled with infinite possibilities and new frontiers of existence to explore. The universe had changed, and they had changed with it. And somewhere in the quantum streams of the new reality, Soren thought he heard the music of the spheres, no longer distant and unreachable, but part of the greater harmony they had all become. It wasn't an ending, it was a transformation, and it was only the beginning.